The September 2020 Visa Bulletin is out, and in this video, I'm going to be talking about what specific changes we are seeing from the previous month from the August 2020 Visa Bulletin. So make sure you stick around to find out everything you need to know, what to expect once September 1st comes around. Also, I'm going to touch on a few other topics that I believe are worth mentioning in this video. Hello D'Angela family, and welcome back to another video. I know it's been a while since my last video, but I am back and we are going to get back to our regularly scheduled programming of bringing you immigration updates at least once a week. There have been a lot of changes, so there's a lot to catch up on. So if this is your first time here, make sure you are subscribed with your post notifications turned on. Turn on that bell. Make sure it says all alerts so you can be notified each and every time I have an update for you. So let's get into today's topic, which is the September 2020 Visa Bulletin. If you don't know how to read the Visa Bulletin, I do have another video on my channel breaking down exactly how to read the Visa Bulletin and how to understand it, how to determine your priority date, so you know how to understand the timeline for your specific case. So I will link it in this video. I'll also link it down in the description below if you want to go take a look, and I break it down completely. Before we get into the actual Visa Bulletin, I do want to mention that September is the end of the fiscal year for this year, okay? So it's not December, it's September. So the new fiscal year starts in October. So you're going to see in September, in the September Visa Bulletin, not much movement has been made. Why? Because it's towards the end of the fiscal year and not as many immigrant visas are available. Once October 2020 Visa Bulletin is out, you'll see a larger movement. You'll see the priority dates jump ahead because that is the start of the new fiscal year. There will be more immigrant visa numbers available. So keep in mind, September is the end. You'll definitely see less movement this upcoming month that you've seen in previous months. So just keep that in mind. So let's get into the changes that are going to take effect September 1st. Now let's look at the final action dates for September for the family-based preferences. So for the all chargeability areas, the F1 preference category moved up 1 month from August. F2A is still current across the board. F2B jumped up 1 month, and F3 and F4 only jumped up 2 weeks. So not even a full month. For China, F1 jumped up a month, F2B jumped up a month, and then also F3 and F4 only jumped up 2 weeks. Same thing for India. F1 jumped up a month, F2B jumped up a month, F3, F4 jumped 2 weeks. Mexico, we see less progress. F1 jumped up only 2 weeks, F2B jumped up only 2 weeks, F3 and F4 only progressed for about a week. Now with the Philippines, we see greater progress. Here we see F1 jumped up 3 months, F2B jumped up 4 months, F3 category jumped up 3, and F4 jumped up 4 months. So those are the changes we've seen for the final action dates between August and September for the family-based preferences. Now let's look at the dates for filing. So for all chargeability areas, F1 jumped up 1 month, F2A also jumped up 1 month, F2B jumped up a month and a half, F3 jumped up 1 month, and F4 only jumped 2 weeks. Now if we look at China, F1 jumped up 2 weeks, F2A jumped up 1 month, F2B jumped up 1 month and a half, F3 3 weeks, and F4 2 weeks. We did also see some movement with India. F1 is 1 month and a half, F2A is 1 month, F2B is 1.5 months, F3 is 1 month, and F4 is only 2 weeks. Mexico, we see 3 weeks, 1 month, 3 weeks, 2 weeks, and 2 weeks. And for the Philippines, we actually see F1 jumping up 4 months, F2A jumping up 1 month, and the rest of the categories jumping up an additional 4 months. Now remember, if you are doing adjustment of status, you are supposed to use the final action date. That chart is what you use to determine when you can file your adjustment of status, unless otherwise indicated on USCIS's website. If they determine that they have extra visas available for that month, they will put on the website that you can use the dates for filing. As of right now, they haven't stated otherwise, so you will use the final action dates. If they do say you can use the dates for filing in order to do your adjustment of status applications if you're within the United States, I will update this video in the description below. I will update it and let you know that you can use the dates for filing in order to adjust status. All right, let's quickly take a look at the employment-based charts. So for the final action dates in all chargeability areas, we see no movement. Why? Well, the majority is already current for all chargeability areas, except third preference and other workers. But even third preference and other workers did not move up a single day. So in August, the priority date was April 1st, 2019. And it remains April 1st, 2019 for September. So there's absolutely no movement there. The only other changes that we did see from August is that for China, the first preference increased 3 weeks and the fifth preference only increased a week for China. And for India, the Eb1 preference category, the first preference category, only increased 3 weeks. Previously, between the last few months, we were actually seeing huge jumps for the Eb1 preference categories for Indian nationals. We were seeing jumps of a year between the months, but now that's stalled out. We see only a jump of 3 weeks, but as I mentioned before, it is September, it is the end of the fiscal year, so you can expect in October for that to start moving again. And finally, for Vietnam, the fifth preference category increased by 1 week. Everything else, there's no changes for the final action dates. Now let's look at the dates for filing. There is absolutely no change here. For none of the preference categories, for none of the nationalities, everything remains the same, nothing moved. It's the exact same chart that we saw in August 2020. So there was no movement there. Is it surprising? Not necessarily. As I mentioned, end of the fiscal year, October, we should see more movement. So those are the updates with respect to the visa bulletin. Now, I do want to talk about a few other changes and important topics that you should all be aware of. Last month, in the end of July, USCIS did announce that they would delay the furlough of the 13,000 employees. They were originally supposed to be furloughed on August 3rd, and it was pushed to the end of this month, the end of August. And they still anticipate to furlough their employees on that date if they do not receive the $1.2 billion bailout from Congress. I hope that they will delay the furloughs again like they did last month, because quite frankly, we don't need any more delays with processing. There are already substantial delays with immigration cases, and furloughing 2/3 of their staff really would be an ultimate disaster at this point. In my previous video, I did discuss that USCIS increased their fees for a lot of their cases. Some decreased, but overall they did have a percentage increase. So definitely go check that video out. So you make sure that you submit the proper filing fee once it takes effect. It's going to take effect in the beginning of October, so be prepared for that. If you do submit your case with the incorrect fee amount, it will get rejected and sent back to you. So definitely go watch that video. Make sure you take note of what the new fee will be for your case if you file after the beginning of October. Let's talk about public charge. Public charge has been an insane headache, and honestly is why I haven't been able to film, because everyone keeps changing their mind. First, public charge is determined to be put on hold during COVID-19. We didn't have to file the I-944 forms and the financial information of our clients. And then, another court decision came out saying that that only applies to 3 states, right? So if you're outside of those 3 states, you don't benefit from that decision that says you don't have to submit the I-944. However, USCIS's website, based on the previous decision, had taken down the form and said if you file your case on or after July 29th, you don't have to submit the I-944 for each beneficiary as well as the financial documents. And they haven't changed it yet. They haven't put the I-944 form back on their website. They haven't given guidance on, now that there's that new decision, whether everyone should start filing it again, obviously if you're outside of those 3 states. So my recommendation is have the forms ready to go. fill out the forms, have it ready to go, have the financial information ready to go, because at any moment USCIS can determine, all right, now we will reject your case if you don't submit the I-944 with it. There isn't much guidance on it right now. We don't know if USCIS is going to start requiring it again, or if another decision will come down the road and actually say that decision will apply to everyone across the country. But that's just something to keep in mind. Keep up to date with that. Don't be caught off guard. Be prepared. I know for my clients, I'm still preparing the forms, so be prepared. Expect to file the I-944 form until we are told for sure for the remainder of COVID. Every beneficiary throughout the United States is not required to submit it during this pandemic. So those are the topics that I wanted to touch upon in this video. I wanted to go over the September visa bulletin changes and to let you know other recent updates. Don't forget to leave a comment down below if you have any questions, if you have any requests for future videos. Leave a comment down below. Also, make sure to give this video a like so YouTube knows to spread it throughout the platform. Make sure you are subscribed with your post notifications turned on. Hit that bell button so you can be notified the next time I have an update for you. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.